With the 18th pick of the 2020 MLB Draft, the Arizona Diamondbacks select Bryce Jarvis, a right-handed pitcher from Duke University.
What a night for Bryce Jarvis. Jarvis records another strikeout. 3-2. Got him.
This guy is one of a kind.
That velocity holds, you're going to see him in the big leagues very soon.
All right, welcome back to episode 5 now of the War Room. Can't believe we've made it this far, but here we are.
Yeah, I know, crazy, right?
I know. I am your host, Keith Corbliss, along with my awesome co-host, John Moynihan, aka JMO.
What's up, everybody?
And we have a special guest for you guys. So he is from Franklin, Tennessee. He went to Brentwood Academy. He played for the Duke Blue Devils for 3 seasons, and during his junior year, he threw the 31st perfect game in NCAA history against Cornell. He was a collegiate baseball first-team All-American, becoming the 13th All-American in Duke's program history. He had a electric .67 ERA before the 2020 season ended, unfortunately due to COVID, and that earned him the 18th overall selection by the D-backs in the 2020 MLB Draft. Let's welcome Bryce Jarvis. What's up, Bryce?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. We're going to have some fun today. And, what have you been up to, during the COVID and just kind of, I know you're out in Arizona, what have you been doing?
Yeah, so I was actually lucky enough to be asked out to be on the 60-man expanded roster for this MLB season, which was a super cool experience. I've been telling a lot of people who ask about it, it's almost like it was quadruple A because, most of the guys who were there were up and down to the big leagues. The guys who weren't were, newer guys like myself, but guys that I think the D-backs in particular wanted to have out, spend time with the guys who were, up in the big leagues and kind of see how things worked from, a unique perspective that we wouldn't get in a normal year.
Awesome. So I kind of want to just start off with just kind of what your upbringing was, right? So you kind of have an interesting one. Your dad, Kevin Jarvis, played, 13 seasons in the bigs with a ton of different teams over the years. One of the things that I want to ask you is kind of what was it like growing up with your dad in the bigs, and like what was kind of how did he help you develop, obviously playing all those years, and from the beginning, when you were playing Little League, whatever, and then all the way up till, now when you're about to begin or when you have began your own professional journey?
Yeah, I mean, my dad has been an invaluable resource over my, baseball career so far. Growing up, I can remember, spring breaks at school spent following him to spring training, whether he was in Arizona or Florida, and then my summers were chasing him around the country wherever he was playing, trying to watch him play as much as we could. And those are some of my best memories for sure. Time spent in big league clubhouses, around the team, on the field, shagging fly balls during BP, just kind of, living the baseball life with my dad. Definitely some of my best memories. And then just as far as him being my coach, I think, one of the most valuable lessons that he's taught me through the years is sort of in the mental side of baseball. There's so many physical things, mechanics, all the stuff people look at now with pitching analytics. But I think one of the things that gets overlooked is the mental side of pitching, and
For sure.
having that, competitive spirit within you, and having my dad, who played in the big leagues, who knows what it's like to be in those situations, kind of instill in me from a young age that kind of fire and drive to really work on the mental side of pitching. I think has definitely given me an advantage coming up through baseball.
Definitely. So like every time, you come back from the summer, I was like, oh, Bryce, what'd you do this summer? Just, hang out with a crap ton of major leaguers and just go in each clubhouse, just casual, 7-year-old stuff.
Yeah, right. I can remember, when we first moved to Tennessee, I was sitting in a meeting with a bunch of my other, little league teammates, about to start my first little league season, and you're sitting on a park bench, and all the parents are kind of in the background, the coaches are up at the front, and we're talking, getting to know each other. And the meeting starts, and our coach at the time was like, all right, well, what big league team do you guys want to be? Because all the teams
Yeah.
follow the big league teams. And being in Tennessee, some of the most common answers are the Braves, the Cardinals, some of the regional teams. And I pipe up from the back, the Padres. People are kind of looking around like who is that? What kid in Nashville wants to be the Padres? And at the time my dad was playing for the Padres, and it was funny just to like see the reactions of people like who it doesn't even cross their mind that the Padres even exist. But to me, that year, that was kind of my whole world. So
Yeah, for real. Like, yeah, you were literally just following them along and everything.
right. I mean, I didn't think twice about it, but it was kind of
That's
out there
great.
for a lot of guys.
That's awesome.
And going into it, I guess a little bit too, Bryce. You have an interesting draft story too. Obviously selected twice, first in the 37th round by the Yankees when you were eligible as a sophomore. Deciding to stay at Duke obviously clearly paid off, moving way up into the first round. What do you think was the biggest development for you staying at Duke 3 years versus only 2?
Yeah, so I think I was definitely a different person going into my first year of college than I was coming out this year. I came in with the skills that my dad had taught me and the things I had worked on coming up through high school. I was definitely a good pitcher and could hold my own. But after going through the draft process, after my sophomore year, and kind of seeing how things went, and kind of coming to terms with who I was then and who I knew I needed to be to go in the position that I wanted to go in the draft. It took some sitting down with people close to me, my dad, my agent, just people I really looked up to, and coming up with a plan to make the improvements I knew I needed to make between my sophomore and junior year to improve my draft stock, improve my ability as a pitcher, and kind of set out last summer to really go after those goals.
And that's one of the things I actually wanted to talk to you about. When you said you sat out the summer, you skipped the Cape Cod Baseball League, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like if people don't know what a Cape Cod Baseball League is, it's kind of like the biggest summer league for collegiate baseball players that are looking to make that next step in the draft. So, and you decided to skip that. And instead of, doing that, you worked with various different athletics centers and performance centers. What was that kind of like for you? What was the reasoning on why skipping it? I know you want to improve your game overall, but what was that training like, and how did it really elevate your game to the next level?
Yeah, definitely. So I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to play in the Cape after my freshman year and get that experience. I think anyone who's given that opportunity should definitely take it. It's an experience unlike any other. Just the prestige of the league, and the fields you get to play at, the competition you play against. It's definitely something that I'll remember for a long time, and something that I don't take lightly, getting the opportunity to go there. But I think having that chance to do it after my freshman year made it easier to forego it after my sophomore year. And as you mentioned, instead of that, I chose to spend a week up in Seattle at Driveline, working on pitch design and going through their motion capture analysis. Just trying to find any inefficiencies in my pitching delivery, anywhere where I could tap into more velo, while also trying to shape my pitches as best as I can to have them work together to get outs and get swings and misses. And then from there, I spent the rest of the summer, about 6 or 7 weeks up in Massachusetts at Cressy Sports Performance, training with Eric Cressy and his team up there. And the goal there was just, try to put on as much weight, as much muscle. One of their phrases is mass equals gas. And so I was really buying into that, just trying to kind of transform my body to be in the best position to be explosive off the mound and use everything I could to maximize velo and stay healthy and all of that stuff that goes into being a good pitcher. And it was one of the hardest summers of my life for sure. I knew it was going to take a lot of work to undergo that type of transformation, but to be completely honest, I think I enjoy that side of the game of baseball as much, if not more, than playing in the actual game. Going over my pitches, the analytics, the quantitative spin rates, spin axes, efficiencies, all of that, tweaking those, knowing what physical changes translate to those changes in the analytics is the part of the game that I think I enjoy the most, and something that I think is really going to help me going forward in professional baseball as the game moves further to that side of things.
Well, I was going to say that it seems like that's the way baseball has been leaning, especially the past, 10 years or so. And so, you see a lot of guys that don't particularly, look at that as much, it seems like, right? But, I mean, I guess what you've been saying is that you really do, really follow and understand what analytics are and the, quantitative analysis and everything with that. So it's, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think having my dad kind of in the more old school realm of baseball, you need both. You need the old school and the new school. So being able to go to my dad for some of the more old school approaches to pitching, and then having the resources, Dusty Blake, the pitching coach at Duke, really kind of gave me an introduction in the analytics of pitching. And then I built on the foundation that he helped me develop, at Driveline and with the guys at Cressy's. They have a really good pitching team and guys who are really fluent in the analytics. So being able to have all of those different aspects of baseball kind of come together in my life definitely helped me get to the point that I am.
And it definitely did work with the mass. What was the saying again?
Mass
equals gas.
Mass equals gas. That kind of worked out for you though, because it, based on the scouting reports of what I've been reading, is that you definitely gained like 5 or 6 miles an hour in your fastball since that point.
Yeah, my freshman and sophomore year of college, I was sitting kind of 89, 92, topping out 93. And then this past year, I was more in the 94, 96 range. But I think having to learn how to pitch at that lower velo and not kind of the blow you away stuff helped me, be the pitcher that I am today, because, you see a lot of guys who have the crazy velo, the crazy breaking ball. They don't really know how to pitch. They don't know how to sequence pitches, how to locate guys, take advantage of holes and swings. And that was something I had to learn before I got the velo. And so being able to know how to get guys out with the lesser stuff and then developing some of the better stuff, I think is definitely the way you need to do it and the way to have success over a long period of time.
Yeah, so for all the young guys out, sorry, JMO, for all the young guys out there, just remember mass equals gas.
Yeah, for sure. But even in the 2020 season, Bryce, it was crazy that you just mentioned, making sure that you're able to take advantage in holes and swings and kind of learning how to pitch at that lower velocity. I mean, we saw it in your command this season. I think what was it, 40 punch outs and 2 walks, I believe, that you had in 2020. And like you said, working at Driveline, like how important is that for you to translate that, not only now having the higher velocity and continue to work on that throughout your career?
Yeah, definitely. I think, one of the things going into this past season, I'd been able to see kind of the effects of the improved stuff over the fall. So I knew going into the season kind of what I was capable of doing. And so going into those few games that we got to play this college season, I just had an unbelievable amount of confidence in my stuff to attack the zone. I didn't have to be super fine. You want to hit spots, but just having the confidence to go up there and know like I can throw whatever I want in the zone, and it's good enough to get guys out, I think is definitely what helped translate into those low walks. And it was definitely a focus I wanted to have was filling up the zone, racing to 2 strikes, trying to finish guys in as few pitches as possible were definitely focuses that I had going into those games.
Like you were kind of saying, is that you're attacking hitters a lot. You're going at them more, especially with the velocity up in your fastball. Kind of one thing I want to talk about is your control is really, really good, and this kind of like led to this electric performance against Cornell this past season. The perfect game. Can you kind of go into what was your mindset? Because there's only 31 in collegiate baseball ever, so kind of can you take us what went through your mind? Especially maybe when you realize, oh, maybe this could actually be a real thing, a real possibility. I'm feeling good, whatever. And you also struck out like 15 batters, which is, I believe, your career high as well. So like you just really was unreal. That's really it.
Yeah, I think that game versus Cornell was kind of the culmination of all the work I had put in over the last off season and through the fall, through the winter, leading up to the season. My pregame bullpen was as good as I've ever felt. I remember turning to Coach Blake in the bullpen after I'd finished warming up and being like, I think everything's working. I had all 4 pitches. Fastball felt good. Command felt great. And he was obviously in that moment, you don't think about throwing a perfect game. You just, appreciate the fact that you're feeling good and you try to go out there and leave the game with your team in a position to win. And the first couple innings didn't really feel out of the ordinary. Obviously was getting outs, striking guys out, felt good. But it wasn't until I think 2 outs in the 5th inning, I got to my first 3-2 count of the game and knew I hadn't walked anyone. And like I mentioned, I really wanted to focus on attacking the zone and trying to limit those walks. And so more so trying not to walk the guy than not ruin the perfect game. I remember throwing I think it was a front door slider on the edge, called 3rd strike. And from there, it was kind of all downhill. I was feeling every pitch and, just wanted to go out there and get out. So I think that was the most difficult out of the game. From there, it was just, I was going out there trying to fill it up and definitely not walk anyone.
I was going to say, if you're throwing like a slider on a 3-2 count, and he doesn't even swing, that's when you're really just like, okay, this is going to be a really good game.
Yeah. Everything was working for sure. And honestly, that was the first game I think I've ever had 4 pitches, working in the zone. Because, last year was the first year I started throwing a curveball. Before that, I was fastball, slider, changeup, and that had been a good mix for me. And obviously it's rare to have all 4 pitches working. And so, I've worked with 3 and that's been really good. So I guess that's what happens when you have 4.
Yeah, no, exactly. Did any of your teammates do something like they just didn't talk to you after like the 5th inning or whatever? Just like, we're not, we're just gonna let him sit on the bench and just hang out, rest his arm up.
Yeah, I've definitely heard a lot of different points of view from that game. I'm pretty intense in a game setting, so whether or not I'm throwing a perfect game, I kind of keep to myself, and I'll say a couple words to my catcher or the pitching coach between innings just to make sure we're on the same page for the next inning. But after the game was over, I can remember a couple of the bench players were talking about how between innings, they would go down into the tunnel in the dugout. We have a batting cage down there. It was like low to mid 40s, I think. So it was pretty cold.
My God.
So they would go down there and take some swings, just stay loose in case they were needed for a pinch hit. And it was always when we were in the field. And so bottom of the ninth I guess it was top of the ninth, came up, and they definitely wanted to be in the dugout to rush the field, if I pulled it off. But they
Of
knew
course.
that every single inning they had been down in the tunnel in the cage. And so they sacrificed their part in the celebration to be a little late and stay down in the tunnel to make sure they kept the mojo right for me. And I
Good
appreciate
teammates.
that.
That's good teammates right there.
Yeah.
Oh man, Bryce. We'll fast forward from one great moment to another. That being draft day. What was that process like for you? Did you have an idea of where you were going to get picked? Did you know that the D-backs were going to be the team? How is that like for not only yourself but for your dad as well? I mean, you get to share that moment with your dad who played in the major leagues, and how special was that?
Yeah. So one of the benefits of kind of the quarantine period between when school let out and draft day was, I had the ability to have Zoom calls, have phone calls, text back and forth with pretty much all 30 of the big league teams, whether it was area scouts, front office guys, GMs. They really wanted to take that time to get to know the players that they were thinking about drafting and build relationships over that time. And so going into draft day, I had built those relationships over that 2 or 3 month period, and knew some of the teams who were thinking about picking me more than others, and where they were picking in the draft, and trying to do all that math in my head leading up to the draft. But once the day came, it was just kind of spending the day with my family, and being thankful for being able to be with them, because in a normal year, we would hopefully be on the road headed to Omaha for the College World Series.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was realistic to think that our Duke team would be there this year. But even though that wasn't the case, like I said, it was awesome to spend that day with my family. It's definitely a day I'll never forget, and happy that they got to share in it.
That's awesome. So, you're in Arizona right now. You're kind of working out with the guys and stuff like that. One of the things, because now you're officially a professional baseball player, what are the things that you are trying to improve on, and kind of what is your biggest adjustment period for your first, professional minor league season coming up next in the 2021?
Yeah, for sure. I think, one of the biggest transitions to make going from college to professional baseball is the shortened time frame for starting pitchers. In college you pitch, every Friday or every Saturday, so it's a 7-day schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But in professional baseball, it's a five-man rotation, so you're pitching every 5th day. And while that may not sound like a huge difference, it's only 2 days. It's really, for someone like myself who's very routine oriented, I really ground myself in my routines, my lifts after outings, my bullpens. I like to have that be as close to the same every week as I can. And so getting to go through the season this summer heading into next year has kind of helped me adjust those routines that I had in college that I know that worked, and adapt them to the professional baseball lifestyle to make sure that I put myself in the best position every 5th day to be as fresh as possible.
Awesome. And then one thing I really want to go back to just a little bit, because you were kind of talking about before, you were sitting about, 86, 88, and you kind of moved into the 94, 96 this past season. And you touched upon, having to learn how to pitch a little bit without that, velocity that's going to, blow right by guys. you know, a lot of people are saying that your changeup is the plus pitch that you know, were able to develop and learn. Can you talk about a little bit the specifics of how you were able to get that particular pitch to become, you know, that plus plus?
Yeah, definitely. I think I attribute a lot of my focus on my changeup to my dad for sure. Growing up, you hear stories of guys trying to have kids wait to throw breaking balls until they're 12 or 13 or whatever, and that was definitely something that my dad wanted me to wait to throw, and so the natural second off speed pitch is a changeup, and even though it's pretty hard to throw with small hands when you're young, that was something that I just played catch with, whether I was throwing with my dad, whether I was warming up for a game. I just incorporated it into my catch play, coming back in, stopping it at 90 feet, playing catch with a changeup, working into 60, kind of feeling the release. Because more so than any other pitch in baseball, I think changeup is a feel pitch, and you need to get consistent reps with it to command it and to manipulate it the way you want to. And so I think just the consistent reps and throwing it pretty much every day, allowed me to develop the feel for it that I have. And then, once you have that, you can kind of make small adjustments and manipulations to it to change the shape and, take more speed off. And so I think that's really what allowed me to have such a good changeup is not getting so caught up in everyone wants to throw a nasty slider, everyone wants to have a banger curveball. But the changeup is kind of it's not a sexy pitch until it is.
Yeah.
There's kind of like a big gap to get through before people start saying like, hey, that guy's got a good changeup. So I think that's why people don't spend the time on it, because it takes so much time and so much overlooking the pitch itself until it's a nasty pitch.
That's true. And then you look at like Luis Castillo's changeup, and then it's like, oh my God, like that's like the grossest pitch of all time.
yeah, but that's definitely not something that comes overnight. I've heard stories of guys like throwing, like teaching a slider grip, and someone goes up there and just starts ripping sliders, and it's there instantly. But that doesn't really happen with changeups. So,
Point.
For sure. All right, Keith, you want to get into the rapid fire stuff?
Let's do it.
All right, Bryce, while your dad was playing in the bigs, what was the craziest moment that you can remember, whether it be a locker room story, hitting BP, talking with some professional baseball players? What is like your fondest or craziest memory that you have of that?
Definitely making a diving catch in right field at Fenway Park, off of Manny Ramirez.
That's awesome.
What?
Oh, man.
That's crazy. How hard was that ball hit?
I can't remember exactly. It looked like the hardest. It was definitely the hardest ball I'd caught at that point. I was like 9 or 10 at the time, and most of the pop-ups you catch in Little League are just lazy fly balls. But this was a real line drive, and I can remember making a diving catch and everyone on the field going crazy, and just feeling like I just made Sports Center on that play.
That's awesome. Oh my God. That's all right. What if baseball wasn't the sport to work out, what professional sport would you want to play and why?
Golf, for sure. I'm a big golfer in my downtime. It's something that helps me take my mind off baseball and just getting out, getting exercise. I think, being good at golf is one of the hardest things in the world to do. And I've
100%.
a ton of respect for the guys who play it professionally. And I think it would be really cool to be that good at it.
Yeah, my golf game has been absolutely atrocious.
I can't play either. I can't play.
I went and played. What was it? Was it Friday? It was Friday. Oh my God, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I've learned that the life of a professional pitcher has a lot of downtime in it, and so a lot of the guys are big golfers. So I'm hoping to improve my game over the next couple of years.
There you go. So we've been kind of trying to keep track of this. So we want to know one thing: are you Team Rawlings or Team Wilson?
Rawlings.
Okay. Another one to the wrong, Jamo.
Yeah, another one. Well, we have another one. Are you a fan of Mexican food, Bryce?
Yeah, I like pretty much all food, so Mexican food is definitely up there.
Okay. Are you Qdoba or Chipotle? And what's your go-to order?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm gonna have to go with Chipotle on that one.
Chipotle takes the lead, baby.
Chipotle does take the lead.
Yeah, my go-to is the chicken bowl.
Gotcha.
And then protein in mass and gas, baby.
Yep. Oh yeah.
We'll go with another food question. While you were at Duke, on campus or off campus, what's the best place to go eat around the area?
I think I would go off campus, and it's a hibachi place called Konki. I think anytime we finished a big midterm or a big project, my roommate and I would always treat ourselves and go out for hibachi, and that was always something we looked forward to.
There you go. All right, last question. All right, so if you had to face anybody, doesn't matter, they could be dead, they could be alive, in the batter's box, they're facing you on the mound, who is it, and how would you work there at bat?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it would be cool to face Barry Bonds, just to say I faced Barry Bonds. I know my dad tells stories about facing him, and they're not super fond memories of his, but I think it would be
for
cool
most pitchers.
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of guys on that list that he's gotten, but I think it would be a cool experience, and I wouldn't really face him any differently than anybody else. I think you got to attack the zone and believe that your stuff is good enough to beat him. So yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Sure. All right.
And then one more thing before we close things out. What are you looking for in a short-term goal for 2021, and kind of what are more of your long-term goals? Obviously, probably going to the MLB is your long-term, but besides that, kind of what do you kind of want to work on?
Yeah, I think short-term goals, within the year, I would say just, shoring up the command of all of my pitches. I think my curveball being my newest pitch, it's definitely something I want to really reinforce and be able to throw in any count like I can any of my other three pitches. So I think working on that pitch, it's definitely something I've come a long way even this year, working through it, throwing it more often, throwing it in more unique counts. That's kind of the short-term goal. And like you said, long-term goal, definitely making it to the big leagues, trying to establish myself there. And, I think just putting in the work to get to the point where, I can do that. So that's really the main long-term goal.
Awesome.
For sure. Bryce, thank you for taking time out of your day to come join us. I know you said, you're a big routine guy, so sorry for throwing a wrench in that, but thank you for taking time out of your day to come join us here on the War Room. Guys, that'll do it for us here on episode 5 of the War Room. Go give us a follow on Spotify, Twitter, YouTube. It's at podcast_TWR. You guys can check out the episodes from Chris McMahon, Jonathan Cannon, Jake Hoover that are already up there, as well as keep tuning in every Friday. We're going to be posting new episodes. You can find those on YouTube and Spotify, as well as on Instagram and Twitter. We'll be tweeting those out. Guys, thank you again for a great one, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.